days, a heretic was someone who did not worship exactly as the Catholic Church decreed they should worship. And the Templars, when they were excavating, and this comes out of my metaphysical background, but when they were excavating, ran across a huge, it's rumored, documents that are way, way older than Christianity itself. And it goes back to an original female, and then it's followed through the line of Mary Magdalene. And they believed that they found the lineage of Christ, and that they believed that a child was born between Christ and Mary Magdalene, and that child's name was Sophia. And this is not just for them. This is many people throughout the world, and many groups throughout the world, especially in southern France and in the southern Pyrenees Mountains in southern France, followed this path and line of belief, and that is the Cathars of the Pyrenees, who were always standing in opposition also to the Roman Church, and who were over 1 million of them were massacred because of their beliefs in religion. So they used this. The word leaked out. It was the biggest massive sting SWAT team account that had happened so far in history. It happened in multiple countries, and they went and they arrested as many of the Templars, especially the head Templars, de Moray and some of the others there in Paris, and eventually tried them and put them to the flame. What they did not catch is most of the Templars, and neither were they able to grab the Templar treasure. Which has, of course, to our understanding in the public world, been lost for, almost 700 years, 800 years. So, after they did that, a lot of the Templars went into the mountains there, the Swiss Alps. And it is believed that the whole Swiss country was basically established under the Templar ban. But let's talk about one more thing before we get off of this real quick. The Templars took their power approximately at 1100, is when they took over the states and the Templar states down in Jerusalem and the surrounding area. 1144 First Order, 1145 Second Order. Somewhere in the next few years, a couple decades, they got the Third Order. So that by the 1200s, and I'm talking the year 1200 here, not the 13th century, we're talking 1200s, they were the most powerful organization on this planet. Now, at that time, you had most of Europe that had been in war for eons. Germany was fighting France, France fought Spain, Spain fought the Netherlands, England jumped in there. You have all these different, you got the Saxons, you got the Norse, you've got the Irish, all these different groups were in constant conflict with each other. Well, then you have the end of the 100-Year War, because in 1214, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure you all will, but 1214 is what my point is. The Magna Carta was signed. It is my belief, personally, and my understanding, that the Templars, war is not good business when it's jamming up your trade and banking routes, okay? So that pretty well settled Europe for a while and brought them completely out of the Dark Ages, prepping them for the Renaissance age, okay? And after the Templars were publicly taken down in 1306, it was then, now that we step into our history page in front of you, that the papal bulls started to go down. The first one was 1330, the second 1337. The next one was not for quite a while. I think it was 15 or 1400s, but it wasn't finalized, and the one that's still in effect today was actually done in 1666 by Edward II in England. Okay, each one of these papal bulls that were issued were part of the 3 crowns of bull. Okay, and we'll let you do your own history of bull. This isn't anything religious or anti-church. I'm just going over history, folks. Okay, so everybody has the right to believe and be who they want to be. That's my philosophy. So the 3 crowns of bull step in. The first crown basically is where they have stepped in and they said, okay, well, you have no right for land ownership. And the reason they had to do that was, one, because the Templars needed the trust, and that's what you'll see. The whole trust issue was created by the Templars. When they left to go on their little holy crusades, they had to leave their estates and properties in somebody's hands. A lot of times initially when they came back, they wouldn't give them back to them. So that's where the in trust came in, where someone was appointed, i.e. executor or estate administrator. All right, these words are going to come back to you later. So there's a lot in here about trust and what trusts are and what they aren't, and you're going to have to get really familiar with them because there's multiple kinds of trust, and this is how we're going to have to start operating out there if you truly want to be able to take control and hold on to some kind of it when you're out in the world of commerce. So the first papal bull went down, actually it was 1302, I think it's actually 1306, but I'd have to check my other notes. But the first papal bull said, okay, you can't own land. Well, at that time, anyone who was farming a farm, if they had a son, the son had an automatic right to, it was called a legacy right, an heir right of heir, to continue to hold that land and farm it. So all these lands were being passed on through. Then the other thing that came down was that the church had monasteries and properties all over Europe, and the church was claiming and wanted to claim that all those properties were there and theirs alone, no matter whose country they were listed in. And so they decided that in order to be able to claim everything and hold the true right of protectionship for Christ, they claimed the whole planet, every square inch of it. And who knows else what they've claimed. When they claimed the planet, that they had the right, and only they, and of course nobility, had the right of land ownership. That's why you, even to this day, cannot get anything but a deed of trust. You can shoot for a loyal title, but your best bet is the homestead thing. Alright? So this is why our state hold the titles to our property. Actually, they're held in your county. So the second crown of ball that came about went to the King of Spain. And it was given to the King of Spain that, well, since they can't own property and they're just running around on it and they're not property owners, well, then they're just chattel. They're just slaves out there working our property because they don't own it. We own it all. So they're just our debtors and they're just our slaves, and we need to have the proceeds off of their labor. This is where this came from. Now, eventually, what they call the Black Prince in England, which is out of that, the first title of the Prince of Wales, Duke of Wales, was created. Somehow, unclear, but somehow he ends up holding this crown later. Alright, this is important, remember that. So now we come to the third crown. Well, the third crown was sent to Henry VIII in England. Good old Henry. And what did, now you'd think that Henry and the church had this falling out, right? Yeah, they did. But it just goes to prove that what's being seen out there and what's being seen in reality are two different things. Because